Folks, today I have got one of my dearest friends all the way across the pond, Yuki Okamoto.
Hello, everyone.
I have known Yuki probably for, I think he and I were talking about that a little while ago, about 20 plus years. And I always get tickled because my wife, on my birthday, my wife always asks, she said, well, and Yuki knows the story, said, did your wife, or my wife, she'll say, did Yuki send you a birthday wish? I said, naturally. I said, he's first one every year, because his day comes about 12 hours faster than ours does, approximately something like that. But Yuki and I, he's in Tokyo, yes, Japan, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Goof Inc. Is that still Goofy?
Yes.
Inc.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then I'm going to get him to explain to us what all this is about. I mean, he's been involved in the print industry quite a few years, just like me, and we met each other. Did we meet each other in Singapore, or was it Beijing?
No. I think we first met in China.
In Beijing, okay.
Yeah, in Beijing. And so we did the pre-testing kind of event first in China, kind of warmed up, and then we decided, well, you guys decided to go forward, and then we met in Singapore.
Okay, that's what it was. I couldn't remember, you get old, you forget stuff, and then because I know we had about, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen of you guys that we put all together there. And
eight of us, I think.
Yeah. And, golly, and look where we are today.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's just wild. And I get so many compliments on everything. And of course, everybody that goes to D-Scoop loves it. It's because they learn so much, because of the openness and, the people, the guys and girls, they're all good people, and willing to help anybody. I talked to John Bailey, quite a bit, and I'm sure you do too, on that.
He's a great man.
Oh, good boy. He really is, and he very much so. And, and a lot of the other guys here in the States, and of course, you and I are close friends, and we know Francis McMahon very well, which has been instrumental in getting D-Scoop up and running. And so now he's, he was instrumental in getting Think up and running, which I think you just came from the conference not too long ago down in Boca Raton. Yes. But it's just been a great group, great organization, great people, and when we got this started, Yuki, and all of a sudden I realized I'm not a local printer, I'm a global printer.
Yes.
I could pick up the phone, call you. I could call David Bailey. I could call Erwin in the Netherlands. I could call David Burnett, down in Australia. This is what I need. This is what I got to do. Boom. And what brought my attention to that, I had a customer. It was named, the name was Cameron, and they were a global company, and they were needing employee packets shipped out throughout the world, for their benefits. And by law, you got to have them there by a certain day, or they get fined. And so they farted around the last minute, and then finally they called me and said, Larry, I got to get these out. And, they had to get them like 30,000 employees, it was a very nice job, So I said, what you got? So they were telling me about it. They got to have them in this region, globally. And I said, okay. I said, do you know what freight's going to cost on that? And then do you know if it's even going to get there? Because of all the customs that you're going to have to go through.
Exactly.
And then all the VAT tax you're going to have to deal with. So anyway, and that's good. Freight, I think, was like $90,000 just for freight alone, And so I called several people of my buddies, throughout the world and say, this is what I got to have. What can you handle and what can you get there? And boy, they took it and they started running with it. And all I had to do was just send a file.
That's it.
and send it. And of course, I didn't do anything, to be honest with you. I was just a BSer. But, Annette, the young lady that handled me for years and years, she took the ball. She understood it and ran with it. And I think freight overall was like $3,000 just for freight, and of course I was rewarded very financially, for the job, which I appreciated that to get it done. But right then, that's when I realized the power of what D-Scoop can bring to a printer.
Yes.
I
don't know if he aimed that, but we definitely knew we were onto something back then, and we just pursued. And it wasn't about the commodity, or it doesn't about buy and sell. It was about protocol. We were like operation systems on computers. It was just a basic platform where anybody can be applications, but fundamentally though, we had the same humanities. We had the same heart and same mind that we just simple few words. You could just click and go. It was so agile.
It was just wild. And I tell this story, several times, and I had a man that was wanting to get involved with D-Scoop, and we wanted him involved, and so I was meeting with, I think about 11 other guys, and talking about the value of D-Scoop, talking about what all you can do and everything. And we were at lunch, and I looked over at Bob Shear, and I said, I need for you to start the conversation and tell the group, a best case or a worst case scenario that has made you successful. And he told me, he says, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that, telling my competitors here of what all has made me successful, on that. And I says, well, Bob, first of all, don't look at them as competitors. They're not competitors here. And I said, if you give one thing that has made you successful, you got 10 others that you're going to get that's going to teach you how to be successful. I said, that's a 1 to 10 ratio. I said, that's huge. By God, he started singing like a canary, boy. I'm telling you, he was saying, yes, this, and all the people there did. And we still do that today.
Yes.
I mean, what works, what doesn't work, what have you tried? Tell me what you've done.
Very, very important. I don't know if this word fits, but it's just the fundamental policies that we believe in, it's just a true fact, honest, no bias. And we're all talking about market, not about print. It is about the market and the community, right? And if the customer experiences that, and if they like what they do, then it will just simply expand and build, not just build in the community, but it builds the market. If the market gets bigger and flows, and if the user gets involved, then we'll start having these ecosystems.
Yep.
So it's all, print exists because of the purposes, right? It's not print as a material. It's a means of a print. Means of a print is that important. Everybody has a purpose. Yep. When they want to try to create something, everybody has reasons. Yep. And that's the reason that we stand and we exist and we should exist. And that's the reasons that we should thrive for. And I just loved it. I joined the D-Scoop. I haven't done it in a while in Long Beach. All the college students start coming in. Well, St. Louis, I think it was the first college, the first event in a while that the college students start coming in. And then, Long Beach. And then the last year this year in Denver, I think I didn't get to go. I was just kind of busy, but, you were interviewing all the students and everything else. And, we were expanding, but now we're going much deeper into the generations, layers of generations involved in the D-Scoop. And I just love seeing this.
And I do too. And I think you might know that I mentor kids, young adults, as much as I possibly can, you know, just to give them a start that maybe I didn't get, you know, and I tell them all the time, you kids need to listen to me. I said, I'm telling you right now, a mentor's hindsight is a mentee's foresight. And you just need to listen to what I'm telling you. And most of them do. And I think you do this also, because I've seen you work with the youth.
Yes.
To get them involved, to get them excited, you know, I know and Aubrey was with me when we were in Denver, and the amount of young adults that we had there that have been a little while in the business, but are brand new in the business. And we had this Indian young man, and I mean, he stuck to me like glue. I mean, we were all over the place, and I was, you know, telling him about it, I was educating him about, and God, they were just soaking it up as much as they possibly could.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is, and they were just so excited about it, and you know,
I know.
Larry, what about this? What about that? You know, and I said, well, this is what I have done, and this is what has worked well for me. But I don't know how many different schools we had there, but it was several. I know that, and not young adults we had there, but it was many, because, you know, every time they were coming through, and of course I was barking them over to come over to talk to me there at the table to, you know, get them on camera. And there's two young ladies. They've got a podcast. Her name's Sarah Nancy. Yeah, I forget. Aubrey knows, you know, what the name of them is. But I'm going to have them on my podcast, and then they want to interview me. You know, so which will be a whole lot of fun.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be fun.
It will, because it'll be a whole different perspective.
You know, this younger generation has this new, exactly, perspective. I mean, they had another vision. I mean, print to us is just trying to, you know, we're trying to convert what existed old era to the new era. It was just kind of stretch. We're trying to connect into the new world, right? But younger generation now, it's a whole new thing. I mean, they're digital natives. They were born in digital. So they got just a whole new vision. So instead of, for me, I'm not mentoring with them, you know, I mean, I work with them. They feed me so much ideas, and I'm a little bit wiser than them, but they got a new ideas that I can even come up with. But I just kind of can give them a little skill. When we work together and combine it, we been achieving hell of a lot more. I'm sorry. I got to be careful.
I'm from West Texas, boy, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but we've been achieving a lot more, a lot faster in last couple of years than past 10 years.
Yes.
I mean, the growth that we've achieved in the past 3 years has been amazing.
And the ideas that they come up with, and it's the same printed piece that you and I always did, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In essence. Well, but now he said, well, you know, Larry, you can take this printed piece and you can put a QR code on it, or you can do this. Well, you can scan it and it'll talk back to you nowadays, you know, which I saw David Rosenthal. He was advertising that, you know, on LinkedIn. I thought, hey, you know, and so now you can print one piece and it doesn't necessarily just go into the print and then you get it into the mailbox. Well, it's there. Well, then it has all types of social media applications that go on there. Well, it does all kinds of functions and actually, to a function to the period to where you can buy right there from that printed piece, you know? And I was thinking, and these young kids that I had that I worked with, I don't know if you know Megan Sawyer. Are you ever?
Yes.
You know Megan, that's right. Because she flew over there when she came and used.
Exactly. Yeah. So we had a couple of dinners. She's in London now, isn't she?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I think they're about getting ready to come home. And then of course, Melissa Sims, so she's just a sweetheart. She had 2 kids that I helped mentor. It was so much fun working with them because of the perspective that they had that would push my boundaries of,
yes,
you got to quit thinking that way. You got to think this way. Well, look what this piece will do. So then that got to the point where I wasn't really selling print sometimes. I was selling the after effect of what the print would do.
yes, experiences, purposes. Yes,
it's just absolutely just crazy and so much freaking fun, to see all that.
Yeah,
I know I've had several. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. No. I'm just when we talk about print, even in D-Scoop or any other meetings, there's always business finances gets involved. Is this going to sell? What? But bottom down, a core of a print is though print has a purpose. So if you can hook, if you keep trying to do the right thing, then it's like a field of dreams, right? If you build it, people will come. But if you're honest to it, if you are authentic enough that your message and what you do, how you serve the customer, how you can provide a print gets to your customer will repeatedly come back to you. So younger generation kind of reminded me of that, because when you try to do business, you got to try to survive. You got to grow. You got to try to grow your business. Money comes in and out, and you got to pay your employee. The employee's happiness is when the well-being is so important. But the true fact is, though, if you don't have a market, if you don't have a fans, you can't do any of that. And the younger generation reminded me of it. And that's just kind of really epic to me, that here I am, 60 years old. Hey, look, I've done all this business. On my first business at 20, this and that. I sold and sell. But then again, though, it's not important anymore in this world. Yeah.
It's just absolutely just nuts. Well, tell me, tell me a little bit. So the viewers know a little bit what Goofy Inc. is.
Well, we do anything goofy.
Hell, I do things goofy every single day.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, well, why not? When we decided to change our corporate name or brand, what would we do? And everybody just thought about, the prophecy, this and that, everything about the future, digital, blah, blah. And I said, well, hey, look, I mean, I've done all that. I mean, e-learnings. I've done all the internet things. I've done all the data, analytics, blah, 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 blah. I just want to do something humanity, just something really human, and heartful, and just be us, and, doing the digital things in Japan, and old school, old style, old school still exist. Everybody just tries to Okamoto-san, Yukinori-san, he's goofy. He's always trying to do something unique. And I'm like, well, if you call me that, but I'm, doing pretty well and everything else, well, might as well just call ourselves Goofy. So it is a Goof Inc. because we couldn't get the domain of Goofy because of Disney. So, we just call it's a Goof Inc. But in the behind that is just because we're goofy. So, but anyway, again, we're still in the print field. We built the platform or data-driven analytics dashboards and stuff like that for print buyer side, not for printing side. So the print buyers always wanted to efficiently innovate the way they handle the print on this digital first world. They want to be efficient. They want to, they know, most of my customers know the print is always important, and it will be important. They will never stop using print. They never convert their communication, 100% onto the digital. They know that already. They're intelligent enough to remain their, certain part of their communication with the print or physical media. But a lot of times still the legality of it, compliances, governance, just like what you said in distribution, the logistic cost, the time differences, zoning and everything else. Of course, the personalizations, layers, it just gets diverse and complicated. So we just kind of manage their data, manage their will, manage their purposes, schedules and everything else. And then we use the digital technology, not the print, but compositions, tools, digital asset management tools, tags and everything else. That's what we've been doing. But then again, though, and then I just kind of aggregate all these orders, efficiently manage it, standardize it, normalize it, then send the data to all my peers, printing partners. So it was like aggregate it, manage the data, plan it, and then send it to all the printing partners, Indigo partners. And then, they will ship and do the drop shipping type of things. But, now with the AI and data and everything else, we just kind of figure that this is, it's not just the print manufacturing, but it's just a whole ecosystem that I needed to rebuild. Meaning that logistics, warehousing, and others. And back then, though, we had a partner who expanded onto warehousing capabilities, logistics capability, everything else. But it was under one company's umbrella. But that just became start creating a little frictions. And, so we decided that we just go, we just go out of the print world or supply chain world on our vision and start talking to banks, start talking to manufacturers, start talking to trucking companies. And, we now are forming a full ecosystem of, print communication supply chains. And we sit right in the middle of that. And, we just keep on, building our platforms. So our data is hooked with a logistics company. When this truck goes from where to where, so I need to have that print done 2 hours earlier than we planned, or we should split that one order to 3 places to reduce the CO2, offset the carbons and everything else. And that actually leads back to our corporate purposes, or sometimes the customer gives us the store data, the point of purchase data, cash register data. And then, they micromanage those data and we efficiently manage those print, materials and send the data back to their stores and they print and utilize kind of. So again, it's not like it's a typical traditional print manufacturing supply chain, but we are focusing more on the print means of a print, how to utilize it, why you want to use a print, where you want to use it, and how you want to use it, when, where type of thing is more important to us. So we still deal with the PDF, we still deal with the Indigo, we still deal with the offset, we still deal with the, inkjet, but it's just that, how to fulfill is the key. So that's what we do. Yeah. Now, Larry-san, one other thing, so we start generating frictions a little bit. So 2 years ago, I bought the print factory back. we didn't have a print. I mean, we were platformer, we were aggregator. In a way, we were broker. But to make this really happen and really go forward, we needed to really go deeper and taking more responsibility, meaning that not relying on manufacturers or makers like HP too much and have that independence and always have a face-to-face layers, and to take on some responsibilities, not relying too much, but just take on responsibility and do something that we should be doing on top of what engineers of the Indigo or HP should be doing. So not relying, but partnering, trying to redesign the partnership of print manufacturers and print service providers. And that's what we're doing. So instead of doing, I needed a lab. I needed a lab. So I bought back, the printing companies and, we've been just kind of trying to, renovate, innovate, both at the same time. So that's what we've been doing. That's what keeps me up every morning.
Well, I'm telling you, it'll keep you young. It'll keep you involved. It'll keep you active.
Yeah.
That is where I'm struggling just a little bit right now, because I merged with a fellow and then we sold a couple of years after that, which is what our intent was. And I worked for them, who I sold it to for, I think I was with them almost 10 years, I guess, after the sale. And, they were tired of me telling them how to run the company, and so they felt it was time for me to go. So, so I got a little bit of a non-compete, but, that's almost up. But I will be back involved in some type of print. I don't know if it'll.
Let's do it. We should all gather in Texas and maybe we form the LCC. And why not?
Why not?
Crisis. Why not?
I mean, that would be so much fun. And then plus I can put us a fishing trip together while you all are down here. Well, I promise you'll have big time. All
right.
We do go out and
what, we should. It's kind of funny thing is the time and innovation doesn't always take a straight path. It just goes around and comes around. You know what I mean? I started my first business in Silicon Valley when I was 20 years old, right? I knew what the internet was and I was a part of it. So, what happened after 35 years of what internet brought? And as there's a cloud, there's a networking, there's subscriptions, and there's this, and there's that, there's this, all these layers, operation systems, protocols, libraries, applications, all these layers and structures of the new digital economies. We've experienced that 35 years. And I bet you, and same cycle, we're going to go through the same cycle from this AI and the data-driven things from now on. So we lived through this 35, 40 years. And this is exactly same thing, same cycle is going to happen again with this AI things. And that is one of the main reasons that I work with Gen Zs.
Oh, they got it.
Yeah, no noise. They have no noises. We have experiences. You know what I mean? And they are going to be the one who's going to generate the economies. They're going to generate the money flow, not us. A lot of people in our generation or a little bit younger, maybe 40s, may want to think they will be the core of this. No, it is going to be Gen Z who's going to be key. That's exactly what happened in internet. I was in 20s in Silicon Valley. I spent that 11 years in Silicon Valley and I was core in it. And, who's surrounded me, who's around me, who's up above, who's built everything and anything happens. It's going to be 20s. That is going to be core of the, AI economy 10 years from now. And
well, so I cannot agree with you more than that statement you just made. And I just feel that I am so fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that I was born at the right time because I look back,
yeah,
and I look back, and then I saw a TV, a black and white TV, little small screen, and I thought, wow, and we had a telephone, old rotary dial telephone, and at a party line, several people were on that one line, and then they came up with the princess phone, where it's just a small little phone on it, and it had a little push button.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, what's next? And then, we got a color TV. And I said,
yeah,
oh man, a color TV. And then I would think, well, what's next? And it just, things were just happening so fast. And then, and then they came out with these little pocket calculators. I thought, wow, $100, for a pocket calculator.
I know.
And then they and I'm very dyslexic, and I think you know that. But then they came out, had a little pocket device that could spell for you. And I thought, wow, what is next, you know? And then they came up a computer. I said, wow, what's next? You know, and then Apple came about, you know, so, wow. And then all the tools, then they came out with a cell phone, an iPhone. Oh, wow, what was next? You know, it just kept up in the scale, up in scale, up in the scale. And then more things just kept happening. Then the internet, you know, and then my God, I can connect my phone to wherever I want to. I can pick it up. I can talk to Yuki. I can text. I can take photos.
Look what you're doing now.
You're like, wow, well, what's next? You know? And then it's finally got to the point. In AI, I love AI. I'm not that smart to use it, but by God, I use it. I use it every single day to help me, you know, to write things, to research things, to what if things, you know, and on things like that. And then I see just the growth of all that. And these kids, they're just sucked to it. And you are 100%, you know, and I look at that, but then I think here we are with AI, and then I think, what's next? So what's next? You know, after AI, but it's got to be the younger kids that they're savvy, they understand it. You know, all they know is digital. They don't know the old analog that I did. You know,
which they thrive to know, though. That there's a thing, you know, they got all this efficient tools, and then now they got AI, right? And they know how to use AI, but they know when to trust and how to trust AI or how to use AI. So what they're looking for is, again, humanity. A lot of younger generations are wanted to be protected in a way, but wanted to be safe. So they're more cautious with the technologies. So then they know how, you know, some kids are still hooked on it, but, you know, their algorithm, you know, is really taking over their mind and everything else. But a lot of intelligent younger generations really know. They're just kind of going like this. Okay, well, here we go. The world was digital. It's just going to go. It's just the infrastructure. Digital has become the social infrastructure already. There's nothing we can do about it. So how do we live on top of that platform? And that's how Gen Z thinks now these days. So they're more human now. So again, we went through all these innovations, right? More and more and more. There's new technologies, is much faster, is much cheaper, and this and that. And that's just our era. I mean, this is the first generation, right? The first digital 1.0, the full cycle of 35 years. And that's kind of cool. But younger generation has that. They're not all about it. They're now on to how to live on top of that platform. So they're going back to, so who are we? What I do. And that's where they struggle. But we have those experiences as well, you know? So again, working with them, doing face to face, not a linear, you know, I'm older, you're younger, you should listen to me type of attitude. It's not that. Hey, look, we all live in the same world. Let's just look at the future, 10 years from now, and how I want to spend that 10 years, how you want to spend this. And if that goal matches it, why not work together? Kind of thing, attitude. And I think that's something, the humanity part of it, those parts, something we've forgotten just because we were so focused on hanging onto the digital revolution from the analog printing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just, let's just let it go. Let's just let it go, because print is never about being on the stage as a leading actor. You know, we've always supported. We're so saturated into the people's world. So let's just not worry about how print's gonna survive or die or whatever. It's not gonna happen. Nope. It's just not gonna happen. Print, means of a print, is so saturated into our lives that it's not gonna go. It is just the quantity may vary, but value will still exist. So let's just kind of go and just kind of figure it out, see how the younger generation sees the print, what they value, what they desire, and balance that out. And we just are there to help support the transition of normalization. And then when the new work comes and everything else, all the quality, quantity, and everything else becomes stable, then we can just talk about the stability of the business and everything else. But then we have to make sure we found that where that stability comes from. Everybody, all the statistics compare, wow, print was this, and it's dropped to this just because, but look, you're comparing to 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, it was all about analog. We only had a print to communicate. We had a newspaper. Why are you comparing 10 years from now to 40 years ago? That's nonsense to me. Always look forward. We learn from past. That's an asset. It's an important asset. It's experiences, but it's intelligence that we need to utilize, take advantage of, because that's what our ages are all about. They're more wiser, intelligent because we have experience. The younger kids just don't have experiences. But if they can use us for their intelligence, we might be able to achieve something in 3 years that it took us 30 years.
Hands down, exactly right. Well, my son, he's a very smart kid. He got that from his mother, and he's a mechanical engineer, and he graduated Sigma Cum Laude, and so he, math is a whiz, And matter of fact, I had lunch with him today, and we went to a fly fishing store, and we just had a fun time at lunchtime, And he always tells me, I said, well, I did this in AI. And he said, Dad, you got to check this. You got to check this. So he knows what the tool can do and what it really can't do, so because he utilizes it every day. But then I've got and he's 39. And then I got my 16-year-old twin granddaughters. Okay. They use it every day, and they use it in school. Of course, they're allowed to take their iPad or their phone to school, to be it, which I think is great to utilize it. Or I'll see something on one of the postings because I follow them on Instagram and I follow them, they don't really have a Facebook page yet. Snapchat, I think that's the other one.
Snapchat, yeah. TikTok,
Snapchat. I follow him to see on there, and I said one of his names was Bradley. I said, Bradley, how in the world did you do that? So easy, Paul. Next time I see you, let me show you what you do. Because she wanted a different hairstyle, so she had this app to give her a different hairstyle, and then she posted that. So it was just nuts. But also, I want to mention to you, which I think it's a great honor. I really do, because you were the 2025 D-Scoop Jack Glacken recipient.
Oh, I know. They surprised me in Long Beach. Yes,
and I figured that was going to happen, but I wanted to be there so bad, but to be there because I was recipient also earlier on, but I had another great grandbaby being born, and I was not going to miss that. It wasn't going to happen. So I left there and I caught the red eye out there. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and boy, I came straight to Houston, and I drove straight from the airport there. And little boy, he was born probably within 10-15 minutes by the time I got there.
Wow, so you made it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It was absolutely perfect. And then
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say also, I think I saw a posting that was it your grandma or your mom just turned 80?
90.
90. 90 is your grandma.
90. This is Japan, Asia. So, we respect the elders. So I lived with her. I moved back. I was in Yokohama, but I moved out to Tokyo 15 years ago. My father passed away before then, so I decided to live with her. So I got the house here in Tokyo. We brought her back in. So, 3 generations all live in one roof. It's kind of value thing, it's traditional. I value that.
Yeah,
So we lived together, but now it just that, it just got into the so dangerous that, going up and down the stairs and everything else. So, she decided that she goes into the care home, which is very, it's nice. Right. She got a lot of friends now. We don't have to worry about her meals, and stuff like that. So
that's what
yeah,
I
but
did.
she turned 90.
That's fabulous. I tell people all the time, and I've had a few little health issues, and they say, Larry, don't you feel bad? And I said, yeah, I feel bad, but the good Lord's letting me still be here to feel bad. It's okay. Yeah, I said that a lot of people don't live to be 75, much less 80, much less 90. And my mom, God Almighty, God love her. She had me when she was 16 years old.
Ooh.
And so she's 92, I think, and she's in a care facility. She's still smart as a tack, buddy. I'm telling you.
Good. That's
and
good.
Right now, I'm saying, Mom, what's your first memory? You moved from the farm. What do you remember about the farm? Because all my folks are farmers, from West Texas. And boy, you could see that little old brain get to running, and said, well, Larry, this. And she has a load of old black and white photos. And I've asked her to look at the photos, tell me the people that she can remember, who's there, where they're at, and what they're doing. And these are just desolate folks out in the middle of dusty farmland, and very proud people, work hard, good people, that go through all that. And then I said, okay, Mom, I said, where were you born? She said, well, I was born in Florida, Texas. And I said, on the farm, and her older sisters delivered her.
Really?
And
wow.
Yeah, it's just crazy all that goes on. Well, then they moved from the farm, and then they moved to New Mexico because it was just hard because of the weather and the locusts and the dust storms and everything. And so my granddad, he just grabbed the kids and his wife and, just barely got it there. And then he went to work, for farming for a guy there. They were farming alfalfa, and he did that for a long time. And then he got him a job working for potash mines, which is an ore that comes out of the ground. That used to be the potash capital of the world right there. And he worked underground, and they use it for explosives and, cattle fertilizer and things like that. And then he worked there, and he was so thrilled because he was getting 87 cents an hour
back then.
Glad to get it. We're talking in the 30s,
Yeah. So back then, 89 cents, or that's incredible.
Yeah. So anyway, so he did, but he still farmed too, because he knew that, and that way and my grandma, and you talk about things, for things, time passing. And then my grandma, of course, she took all the flour sacks, sugar sacks, and everything, and she made dresses out of them, and whatever they had, they made. They didn't just go down to the convenience store just to get something. They needed milk. They milked the cow.
Yeah.
They wanted chicken. They went out there and they grabbed the chicken by the neck, wring it neck, and bring it inside, scalded it, and get the feathers off of it, and bring it in. So I get tickled at some of these kids when I tell them these stories. They almost think I'm lying to them. Oh, it didn't happen that way. Yes, it did. I promise you, it did. But
it's hard for them to imagine, but that's the histories that they should know. I mean,
yeah.
I was talking the other day, all these things had geopolitics things, what's going on. I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to get into it. But I was just talking to the younger generation the other day. I work with students from United America, California, and also work with a bunch of students from, a few universities in Japan as well. We're just talking, all right, we're doing all this with the computer and data and everything else, and we're growing, we're efficient, we're valued, from our, by our customers and everything else. But what if we lost electricity? What if something happens? All this, China, America, and all this kind of things. What if, with all the energies and all this, oil crisis that we're experiencing right now, that we're limited to use electricity resources, and which actually happened in Japan 12 years ago when we had the big earthquake. We didn't have it because of our nuclear power plant was destroyed and everything else. So in my factory back then, like 17 years ago or so, 16 years ago, back then, we could only run our Indigos or any other, presses every other day. It was the power was allocated. So how do you do that? And all the younger kids going like, oh my God, Dad, we can't. The first thing is goes like, that means that we can't use this? Can't use this? And it's like, yeah, you can't use it. There's nothing you can do. So he goes like, all the kids is going like, oh my God, then we're going out of business. I said, no, back then we're doing this without printing. You know what I mean? So again, there's a lot of things that we need to balance. You got to learn. I mean, yes, it's good to be efficient. It's good to everything, but it's good to know good to have a surviving skills. And it's always good to keep questioning the what if. What if? Yeah. And that would expand your vision and views, and that will help you to be ready, and that will keep you more capable. That will help you to be more capable to do anything. And sometime having that analog experiences and hearing that and just kind of observing that is kind of important. And all my kids, well, it's not my kids, but all my students, interns and everything else, I'm like, do this, and they were writing it. So we actually had a little session, like an hour, 2 years, and talking about going back to the Stone Age and how we would do print kind of thing. So we're now working on to how to archive by PDF, how to do the local generator to regenerate so we can have the paper stock first and then go to paper print type of thing. How we can do that kind of thing. We just kind of simulate and have a good time with it. So,
well, but you're exactly right, because I remember when we had, this is back in the 70s, and we had an oil embargo crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And here in the U.S., if your license plate ended in a AB, well, then you could get gas on Tuesdays. If it ended with a CD, well, then you could get gas on Wednesdays. And you could only get gas in that, what was that, 50 some odd years ago? And you could only get gas. And then I was thinking, my God, I got to have gas to get to work. We didn't have internet. We had telephones, but didn't have internet to go, handle work, get stuff delivered or anything like that. But you make a very good point, because I don't see how in the world my grandbabies would survive with no phone.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, they don't. So it's our responsibility to tell them how things were, how innovative we were with Morris, coding kind of things, it's just the things to know. It's not like, it's not comparing it. It's good. We live in a really rich, enhanced, easy world now these days. And look, I mean, again, you and I get to do this right now. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, until maybe 10 years ago, I mean, we had a technology, but we weren't in it so much that, you and I get together in Singapore, you and I get together in Chicago, you get, once a year in Florida. That's what we did. And that was great. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just now we get to do this more frequently, more easily, much easier. But then again, it's good to know. We know because we just remember and we just go like, we tweak our brain a little bit and, trying to retrain our fingers a little bit and then we'd probably be okay. But younger generations, they can't. So it's important for us to just kind of educate them. It's just a part of a history, but knowing, learning from the past, creating new is kind of a good concept.
Yeah. Hands down. It really is. And Yuki, I can sit here and I can talk to you all night long.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I mean, hey, look, it's always fun talking to you, but it's almost been an hour. You told me it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but I mean.
Yeah, I said, we've been on about 52 minutes. You're
probably going, well, how are we going to edit this?
Well, I know.
I'm sorry.
No. Thank goodness I have got Aubrey. Of course, here we go again. She's 24 years old. She understands all this. She knows what to do. She knows how to spell, and so there's just a whole bunch of things that she knows that I don't, so it's always good. But I'm telling you, Yuki, I love you to death. And I'm telling you, it's always
I love you too. Hey, let's try to do that gathering Texas though. You called. I bet you everybody will come.
And that's an excellent idea. And I pretty much know key players that would love to come. And I think that if I made the phone call, they'd be here.
I'll be there. I'll promise I'll be there.
Okay. Well, you and I, no telling what you and I just started, but, well, I hope we get to talk together again soon.
Yes, please let me know.
Okay.
Anytime. I will love to.
Well, fantastic. Well, I'm going to tell my wife that I got to talk to you, and you didn't text me.
Please send my love. Send my best.
I will. I surely will. Hopefully, she's in there cooking me dinner, and I imagine probably your wife making you breakfast.
All righty.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
If you're enjoying the Larry Vaughn Show, don't forget to give the episode a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell to ensure you never miss a new episode.